Hello, this is Helene Blackman Herman, welcoming you on behalf of the very noisy Hunter class of '66, a class that bonded in sisterhood before sisterhood had a name. Our adolescent experiences still unite us in spirit over distance and over these 55 years. Almost 100 of us are reunited for our 50th, many flying in from across America and across the globe. Today, we remain resilient and feisty, honed by an era of change and challenges, including a transit strike and a blackout. Like many other classes, we are postponing our in-person reunion, relying on a technology unimaginable in the 60s. The 60s. Mini skirts and go-go boots, the Beatles, the sexual revolution, the peace movement, a time when women had little choice in matters regarding our lives and our bodies, and the glass ceiling was more like concrete. Women couldn't get credit in our own names, and help wanted ads were divided by gender, and women were expected to type. Society told women, no, you can't, but at Hunter, we were told we could, except for taking typing. But we learn, to listen, to lean in, to make our voices heard, to speak up and to speak clearly, but never to dentalize. The times were changing in '66. The war in Vietnam was escalating, and the voices of protests that had begun with the civil rights movement rose along with it. Yet in the revolution, women, for the most part, were still relegated to making posters and making coffee. And the women's movement was just starting. Right after our graduation, the National Organization of Women was founded. But many of us didn't get it. Hunter told us we were the best and the brightest. We didn't know the rude awakening that lay ahead in a society where women were second-class citizens. But Hunter girls persisted, and when we didn't conquer barriers, at least we tried our best to knock them down. Inspired by a unique education, many of us became educators, and we were so fortunate to have great teachers who taught us not just to memorize or pass standardized tests, but to think, to question, to create. So let's hear it for the educators we had and the educators so many of us became. From preschool teachers to college professors to university deans, from guidance counselors to department heads to school administrators. We were at the forefront of turning that concrete ceiling to glass and then breaking through whenever and however we could. Our math and science departments stand out. They produce mathematicians, doctors, scientists, others in the medical profession, researchers, engineers, technologists, at a time when women's entry into these fields was limited. I personally am amazed at the number of technologists in our class. But then Hunter taught us to think, and as we sang in our math song, to figure it out. We learned to analyze facts and to debate. Our English, social studies, foreign language, and speech departments influenced writers, historians, business leaders, polysyllabic women in a monosyllabic world. And in our 125-member database, we have many attorneys and even a New York State Supreme Court justice. We're also thankful for drama and music and art classes and creative activities like making gloves out of Duco cement glue in Miss Rosso's art class. Seriously, though, we were privileged to have a true liberal arts education that produced actors, musicians, artists, and others in creative fields. No Tony Award winners, at least not yet. Even phys ed expanded our horizons. We learned to care about our bodies, each other, and society, even if we had to suffer those insufferable gym suits. We took sex ed, uncommon then, plus an introduction to psychology. I think it was called mental health. Many of us later pursued careers in psychology and social work and public advocacy, dedicating ourselves to helping people and helping society. Now, not all of us had high-powered resumes. Those of us who devoted our lives to personal pursuits and to family did it with achievement and fortitude and with the gleam of glory's goal in every eye. And when life threw us curves, when we face adversity, health, economic, personal, or career challenges, or pandemics. Nevertheless, we persisted. After all, we dealt with a grueling and highly competitive academic schedule, figuring out the complexities of the 42nd Street Library and all those extracurricular activities, compounded by long commutes for many of us to the outer boroughs, or even the challenges of catching the crosstown bus before the Donnell Library closed. Whether we raised children, raised animals, raised consciousness, raised the bar, or simply raised hell, we did it with inspiration and creativity and a great vocabulary. 45 years ago, I represented our class at the 10th reunion. We chatted among ourselves and were shushed by those who ran the event. Well, we are the class of 1966. We are noisy, we are loud, we are proud, we learned to speak up, we learned to speak out, and we will never be shushed. For the class of 1966, we wish you all a great reunion. Stay safe, everyone, and thank you very much.